Call of Duty. Even hearing the name brings back memories of the missions we all played a lot growing up. To all gillied up in Modern Warfare 1, to the Mind the Gap mission in Modern Warfare 3. But, after playing the first game and the reboot of the first game, I've come to realize I really enjoy the reboot more so than the original. And I'm sure you're thinking to yourself, Chris, how can you think that? The original Modern Warfare was groundbreaking. But, the campaign wasn't all that memorable outside a couple missions, and I think a lot of the people that really do like it mainly is for the multiplayer. But I'm not going to really get into the gameplay all that much because it doesn't really matter all that much to me. The story is what really got me hooked. So shooting the bad guys and blowing stuff up is cool, but outside of that, what else is there? Full disclosure, I grew up on the original trilogy and played them so much when I was younger, so I thought the nostalgia goggles were going to be, nice and tight going into this. But to my surprise, they weren't. I played these games right after one another and began writing the script right after I was done, so it was fresh in my mind. Before I give my reasons as to why I thought the reboot was better than the original, I gotta give a brief explanation on the stories for each game to get you guys up to speed in case you haven't played them or forgot. I don't blame you if you did. I forgot a lot of things about the game as well. Before I forget though, like I normally do, if you like this video, hit the like button and comment down below. Let's get into the story recap. Here's a brief recap on the story in the reboot. Al-Qatala, who are led by Omar Suleiman, aka the Wolf, are the bad guys alongside the Russians, who are led by General Barkov. Suleiman is hell-bent on using any means at his disposal to get foreign powers out of Urzikstan. Urzikstan? Yeah, let's go with Urzikstan. I'm pretty sure that's how they pronounce it. As seen in the Piccadilly mission. While Barkov is trying to control Urzikstan and kill all the terrorists he can find so he can keep Russia safe. The only thing is that he doesn't differentiate from Farah's people and Suleiman's, thinking of them both as two sides of the same coin. From what I remember, it's never really explained why he hates Urzikstan so much, but he's so much of a piece of shit that I don't really care. I just want to see him burn, and burn he does. After seeing what he puts Farah and her people through in the embedded mission, I can't help but sympathize with her. As for the original Modern Warfare, here's the story. It follows a conflict involving the radical leader, Imran Zakayev. Zakayev? I think it's Zakayev, who seeks to restore the Soviet Union and initiate a global war. Al-Assad, the guy in the red beret, is a military commander who caused a coup in the Middle East by killing the president Al-Fulani. A nuke happens that leads to one of the most memorable moments in gaming, and from then on, it's a race against time to stop more nukes from being fired on America. All in all, it's a pretty standard action movie-like story. Nothing really in it makes me feel for any characters, unlike the reboot. We get really exposed to what happens to Farah and her people under Barkov's rule, to being made to do forced labor, to even going as far as to have public hangings, suspected thieves. It's really jarring and puts me on their side immediately, as opposed to the original, where we are just a voiceless grunt going through missions. Simply put, have the characters you play as talk and react to things as they happen in the mission. Without further ado, here are the things I think the reboot of Modern Warfare does way better. The tone of the story. The very first thing that we see when we load up the game in the reboot of Modern Warfare is the Al-Qatala terrorists getting out of a van and into Piccadilly with guns and bomb vests. The crazy opening cutscene and even crazier mission later that sets the tone for the rest of the game that I feel is really lacking compared to the original Modern Warfare.
And die. And two soldier.
Sure, the nuke scene in the original is really impactful, but it lacks a real anchor into the current world. Sure, nukes exist, and the possibility of getting nuked is there. What's a more likely scenario? Getting nuked, or getting gunned down in a public place out of nowhere? I'll let you think about that for a second. Now, onto the set of points that I feel like the reboot does even better than the original. The characters. Price 2019 is better than Price in the original game. Let's be real. Captain Price isn't really much of a character in the original Modern Warfare. I was really struggling to remember any memorable moments he had outside of all gillied up and him beating the shit out of Al-Assad. He's just a generic action dude that doesn't really get any good character moments compared to the reboot Price, who's willing to do the dirty work to keep the world safe, going as far as to interrogate the Butcher by bringing his family in as bargaining chips, dubbed Truth Serum by Nikolai, in order to prevent a chemical attack from happening in St. Petersburg, Russia. The ironic part being that the Butcher executed a man and his son in a previous mission in order to sway Price and Kyle to open up the doors and let them in.
You, open this now.
Everyone back!
You only want the wolf. No one else has to die today.
Who has the keycard? I do!
How about you, Captain? Are you gonna let them die? Save his life, Sergeant.
Now, sir!
Give us the wolf! Mercy is weak.
Gaz in the reboot is better than Gaz in the original game. Kyle Garrick, also known as Gaz, is much more fleshed out in this game. than the original Modern Warfare. During the events of the Piccadilly mission, it's said by Gaz himself that he hates the rules of engagement.
You saved lives today, Sergeant.
It shouldn't have happened in the first place, sir. They sent us in half-assed. So everyone can just keep pretending we're not at war.
Yeah, like the fucking century, that is.
Why have we got our hands tied? Let's just take the bloody gloves off and fight. Sir,
Go on.
we don't stand a chance in hell with these rules of engagement, Captain. They can tell us where, they can tell us when. Don't tell us how. My memory tracking that cell for weeks.
Honestly, given that Raven, the guy in Gaz's ear telling him not to make London a war zone right before the bombs happen, straight up tells Gaz that the terror level threat is critical, which means an attack is highly likely in the near future. Also, they equip Gaz and his squad with only pistols. I don't know about you guys, but if I'm going up against terrorists, I'd give them more than pistols. Also, I looked it up, and the UK does have a terrorism threat level. Lowest is an attack is highly unlikely to happen, and critical means an attack is highly likely in the near future. You want to know the best part? Gaz and his squad had actionable intel on this.
My memory tracking that cell for weeks.
You had actionable intel on this.
Quite a bit, sir.
All the shooting on the street could have been avoided. You know that guy that Price throws off the ledge? You know, he would have been home with his girls drinking tea and eating crumpets.
Please, get it off me!
Sergeant, I need you over here.
Help me! Help me, I'm not one of them! I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I want to go home.
Look,
I want to see my family. I want to see...
Can you help him? I'm trying.
Let me see my girls!
It's going off. I can't get it. No time.
Help me! Help me! Wait! What are you doing? No! No!
Also, Gaz dies at the end of the first game, which really shocked me, looking into it, because I thought it was just a random dude that got shot. But throughout the whole original game, Gaz is the only one with the hat, and there's a guy at the end of the game with a hat that dies. Given how much Gaz is a prominent character in the reboot, I thought he would be more involved in the games like Soper Price, but no, he's just gone. Also, circling back to the Piccadilly mission, if that happened in real life, people would be getting indicted for that. Heads would roll because that was a monumental fuck up that happened. So after all that, can you really blame me for thinking Gaz in the reboot is better than the original one? The only memorable thing I can remember is him threatening to push the Russian guy off the ledge in the mission to save Nikolai, and the last mission where he and the other guys are talking about beer.
Just too hot, man. But room temperature? Please, a beer should be ice cold.
A lager, maybe, or a glass of water like you drink, and a pint of stout.
I'm gonna have to school y'all both when we get back stateside.
Yeah, well, either way, we're stopping in London first. And I'm buying.
Well, at least the world didn't end. Hit it.
Talk about a difference, right? Alex in the reboot is better than Soap in the original game. Alex Keller is a new character introduced in the reboot, and I think he's done extremely well, more so than Soap in the original. You might be wondering why I'm comparing him to Soap, and the answer to that question is that they are both playable characters. You play as Alex in the reboot, and you play as Soap in the original. One thing that really stood out to me is in the mission with Farah, it's pretty clear that Alex is on board with Farah and her cause, mainly due to him seeing how awful Barkov is, and how awful he treats Farah and her people, going as far as to publicly hang suspected resistance members.
You defy General Barkov. You'll be made an example of. What is this?
Please, she's just scared.
Stand down. I know what she is. Do you understand why we do these things? They hang because they killed our soldiers. Now look at them.
Let's get moving.
This is a goddamn war crime.
We can live peacefully,
Punishment for the
but
stolen
only
gas.
if we help each other.
Barkov blames us for stealing it.
What can we do?
Terrorists who caused this
Accomplish
pain
our mission
for all of
and
us.
put an end to Barkov's cruelty forever.
Unite our causes.
To the mass graves that they have. There's even a little sneaking section that reminded me of All Gillied Up.
More of Barkov's war crimes. Let's get down.
Don't move. Keep your head still. Hold.
It's a really good set of levels that really gets you on board. Only downside is Soap doesn't talk at all and is just there to point and shoot at enemies in the original, compared to how he is in Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3, where he's allowed to actually talk and be his own character. Farah is better than Jackson. If you guys don't know, Jackson is the Marine that dies in the nuke mission. That's honestly the only way I remembered him, because he's so much of a nothing character. You're probably asking, why are you comparing these two? Much like the previous points, you play as them both, Farah as a child and as an adult in the prison mission, and as Jackson in the 4 missions you play as him. Honestly, I lean more to the fact of Farah being the better character, the fact that she has gone through so much as a child. Her mission literally starts with her being rescued from underneath rubble and having to kill some Russians as a child with a screwdriver. It's crazy. She's also throwing knives at people, and it's really, really cool to watch. Just take a look at this clip. Jesus fuck!
Clear. Stay low.
Jesus, dude. How did you... That was impressive. She's literally a one-man army. I love her so much. Circling back to the point that I mentioned before, you play as Farah as a kid, and it's one of the craziest missions I've ever played, honestly. It starts with her being buried underneath rubble, which I can only assume is from a Russian bombing run. And some rescuers find her. Unfortunately, her mom didn't make it. She's also under the rubble, but she's dead. After you're rescued, you're put back into the hands of your father, and you have to head home to find Hadir. You stayed at home and didn't join Farah or her mom in the building that they found her in. Some Russians aimed their guns at the people on the street and opened fire, even though the people on the street were unarmed and desperately pleaded at them not to shoot them because they had kids with them. Some Russians drive by and use the same kind of gas that Hadir used in the previous mission. Thankfully, Farah and her dad managed to get into their home before the gas takes effect on them. Long story short, a big Russian dude breaks into the house, kills Farah's dad, and you have to end up fighting him off with a screwdriver. It's really, really crazy. It's such a jarring first mission that I give Infinity Ward major props for it. Jackson, on the other hand, is just a faceless, voiceless grunt that doesn't really have anything going for him other than giving us the nuke mission. And as we all know, the nuke mission is probably one of the best missions in the original game. Made even better if you played the remastered version. Hadir, he is Farah's brother and second in command. In the mission where Farah is a kid, we found out that he's the older brother. And after the aftermath with the Russians, he goes to his dad who was shot in the encounter with the Russian, and his dad tells him this very important line.
What do we do?
You survive. Whatever it takes. Never back down.
Given that Hadir stole the gas that Barkov used to kill their village in the opening mission, shows that he was very willing to do whatever it takes to take down Barkov. Unfortunately, crossing a line that Farah just can't accept. Referencing back to a conversation between Farah and Alex.
The invaders of my country have no regard for human life. The gas kills all things, even food and our gardens. If you use these tactics, you are my enemy.
No exceptions?
None.
Like I said before, I don't really have a person to compare Hadir to in the original games, but I like him so much. The reason I made this video is because I just recently rewatched Bricky's video on the Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 reboots, and it got me inspired to make this one. I had a personal history with the franchise growing up and wanted to see if the original held a candle to the reboot, and unfortunately, it didn't. The more and more I wrote this script, the more I realized I liked the reboot more on a story and character level, but not to completely shit on the original, but I literally just finished both of the campaigns back to back, and I couldn't really think of anything outside of All Gillied Up and the nuke scene in the original game that really stuck out to me right after finishing the games. You know, I get liking it because it was the original, but saying that it's better because reboots always suck is not really judging it fairly. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you guys want to see more of this, leave a comment below and like it if you did. I'm thinking of doing this with the other 2 games of the series, Modern Warfare 2 and 3, as well as the reboots of Modern Warfare 2 and 3. If you're interested in hearing more of me, check out the podcast that I run with my friend, AC, 2 Idiot Gamers on YouTube and Spotify. Catch you guys in the next video. Much love. Much appreciated too.